Hi everyone, my name is Tori Arnett. I was given a project for one of my college programs. This is actually being posted to YouTube because I figured everybody may be able to benefit from it, but I am handing this in to my professor, so enjoy. My project I'm actually doing on a gastric bypass. I've had one myself, and I figured people have questions and they'd want some answers. So one of the first questions, what is a gastric bypass? Essentially, it's whenever you take your stomach, you separate it into a small upper section and a large lower section, and then attach them both to the intestines. And the reason people get this done is if they're morbidly obese. So unfortunately, here in Canada, that number is consistently on the rise, and we're going to see a need and a demand for many more of these in future. So one of the main reasons why we have the gastric bypass is, as I said, to battle that obesity factor. So I want to touch on what obesity actually does to your body. So some of the complications that you will have pre-operation is your type 2 diabetes. If you are morbidly obese, you are twice as likely to die from type 2 diabetes. You have a high risk of blood pressure or hypertension, as those with high blood pressure, 75% of those patients are obese. You have a higher risk of asthma and sleep apnea. For those of you who don't know, sleep apnea is whenever you stop breathing in your sleep. So obviously, a huge complication we want to correct. You have 50% more likely to succumb to complications due from cancers. You also have an increased risk of stroke and circulatory disorders. Being heavy is also hard on your joints, so you have a higher risk of osteoarthritis, disc herniations, and then you also have a large factor in risk of dementia, liver and kidney diseases, not to mention your mental health, including up to suicide. Obviously, that's becoming a pandemic. We want to stop these kinds of things. So you can't walk into your general practitioner or your doctor and say, I need a gastric bypass, can I have that? Here in Canada, the procedures cost, depending on where you live, between $14,000 and $25,000 per person. So you have to go through a stringent application process. I'm closer to Ottawa, so in Ottawa we have 2 clinics. You have to take mandatory classes. The mandatory classes, not every country in the world actually makes you do these classes. The classes are set to how do you adapt, how do you improvise, how do you change yourself to your new lifestyle. So taking these classes has actually increased in success, and Canada is one of the number one success, or has one of the number one success rates in the world whenever it comes to gastric bypasses. The actual procedure itself, so once you're greenlit by everyone, you're going to have a dietitian, a behaviorist, a psychologist, you're going to have the surgeon, a nurse practitioner, not including having to succeed in passing your mandatory classes. You'll actually be able to go for your surgery. Prior to your surgery, you'll have to be on a liquid diet. Depending on your weight, you can be on that diet anywhere between 2 weeks and 3 months. There's specially formulated shakes where you'll have 900 calories of intake per day, and that's it. So the reason that you have these shakes is to reduce your weight before you go into surgery. Going into a major operation like this, you want to be at the lowest weight possible so you have a higher success rate. Now, another reason for this is that it actually shrinks your liver. Your liver is very close to your stomach, so we don't have a chance of having it be nicked or incidentally cut. So it'll actually shrink your liver, so it's easier to be moved out of the way. Once all of that's done and you've been greenlit for surgery, you're on the table, what's going to happen is you're going to have 5 laparoscopic incisions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1 and 4 are tool access. So one tool is going to actually be to cut your stomach and your intestines. The other one is actually going to be to cauterize them immediately. Number 2 is going to be your air tube. So your abdomen will actually be inflated with air just to allow easy access for the tools. And then 3 and 5 are for camera access so the doctors can see what they're doing inside. Once inside, you have your esophagus come down. They're going to cut right here and cauterize it. This right here is going to be your new pouch. This is going to take your A-cup stomach and turn it into a half-cup pouch. After this, we're going to bypass the duodenum. This duodenum is where you're going to have all of your nutrients absorbed from the food that we eat. This I'm going to talk about later because it may cause some complications for some people later on. The next cut is going to be after the duodenum, just as we come into the small intestine. What happens now is they take this section of the small intestine and they bring it up and then attach it to your new pouch. After that's been attached, they're going to take this part of the duodenum, where it comes into the small intestine, and they're going to attach it lower on in the intestine. The procedure as a whole from start to finish is actually a rather fast operation. It normally takes around 45 minutes from start to finish. But once we're done, you have now access to losing 25 to 40% of your original weight. After your operation, obviously you can come up with some complications. Some of the complications can arise from a major surgery, such as your internal bleeding, your blood clotting, and your cramping. Because your abdomen was inflated with so much air, it takes a few days for that air pressure to actually release. A lot of the times, people are getting vitamin and mineral deficiencies. This is a small list of what I take on a daily basis. I normally take around 27 to 29 pills per day. I personally, as I said, I've gone through this surgery. I've had a vitamin B12 and an iron deficiency where I've had to have infusions. Is it common? No. Is it unheard of? Absolutely not. More often than not, your vitamin B12 and your iron are going to be what's higher on that list of deficiencies. So it's workable. The biggest complication that people are having where they're not reaching the proper success is they're not actually sticking to the mandatory lifestyle that this requires. Because your stomach is so small, you can't eat sugary foods, you can't eat fat foods, and you can't overeat. You can actually make your stomach expand, again, not to a full 8-cup size, but it can extend, and you can gain weight. It's a horrible ideal for anybody, so obviously if this is something that you're looking into, you have to commit to it, and you have to make sure that you are in the right mindset to be able to do this surgery. Now, as I said, being somebody that has done this myself, I've lost 125 pounds. It's been amazing for my family. Other than having a knee injury that's completely unrelated previous, I was healthy before this surgery. I didn't have diabetes, I didn't have any sleep apnea or complications, but I was getting to the point where that was going to become a factor. And that scared me, having a small child and a husband at home. So I chose to do this, and it's the best thing I've ever done. So anybody that's overweight, they've tried dieting, they've tried doing everything else under the book, whether it's exercising more, increasing the green things you eat, decreasing the sugar, and you're still gaining that weight. I don't want to say jump on the phone with your doctor and demand this. I'm saying keep it as an option, do your research, talk to your doctor, because it may be that life-changing thing that you absolutely need. So other than that, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Stay healthy and stay safe, everyone.